Welcome to GameBreakers. My name's Thomas. I am here with Allison, David, and Diamond, and we are continuing A Bard's Tale, our Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game. When last we left our intrepid heroes, it was an epic battle between the general of the Fomorian giants in the Feywild, a cluster of intrigue and daring do, many fallen trees, many fallen giants. At the end of the day, after being swallowed by a gigantic bullet, vomited back into the ground, and fighting your way back to the stronghold on the precipice, festooning the general with arrows, and the finishing blow was dealt by the activation of Stan's instant fortress.
Power.
His one weakness, a giant building on his head.
Right, just clobbering the final blow by 12 points of damage, by the way. Like every point of damage, every successful save against that horrible eye life-sucking beam, 12 points of damage was the margin, even with the final massive blow by the building. After which point, the armies of Beatrix Merroward, the Baronetess of the Vale across the river, swept over, eliminated the rest of the giant army, and Trella Goodmane essentially gave you the hint to claim the area for the Vale, which you did. And as that happened, cries go up from the centaurs, sprites, and couple of remaining treants below. And as the mists start to recede from the place, one little beam of sunshine finds its way from all the way across the Vale to the heart of Unseelie lands. A single beam of sunshine from the Queen of Summer and Light's palace finds its way with Beatrix Merroward to your position, and she congratulated you and bid you kneel to be knighted, and that's where we cut. I think everybody knelt. I just assumed. That's
Even the crap.
Right, gain your knighthood. Nah.
I got a thing. I gotta go away.
So as the mists continue to part out of the area, as the water recedes, you are kneeling before your Baronetess, and she starts with him. She starts with a proclamation in Sylvan. None of you speak Sylvan right now, do you?
No.
Okay. A proclamation in Sylvan. It has the cadence of a ritual prayer, and she takes her giant barbed spear and is speaking in one language, but Stan, you hear it in another. From behind her, sprites come up, carrying, books wrapped in ribbon and little packages and things, and just flying from up the way. And she points the spear directly at your heart, and you hear in your mind her say, "That which is weak has thus far been what defined your journeys, but without them, what will you do?" And taps the spear against your heart, And you are then sort of, you feel kind of a tingling sensation, and sort of a newfound resistance and resilience. You feel it just in your mind. You gain resistance to psychic damage and a badge, and it forms floating above your heart. That is a hexagon with a beehive in it, and rays of the sun shooting out from behind it.
And who gets this?
That goes to you, Stan. In front of you flutter down a few pixies and sprites, like carrying books wrapped in ribbon and holding the ribbons like 3 or 4 at once to get the books down. They are thick, clearly just like lovingly crafted tomes. One of them is labeled the Manual of Acuity and Clarity. The other one is collected, like notes of different sizes and things collected and bound into laminate sheets, like of a gossamer. And in it, in Dwarven, are Dwarven and Celestial, like kind of side by side. The bulk of it is in Celestial, but there are a lot of notes in Dwarven. The manual bound manuscript is labeled Forged Notes from Moradin's side.
Wow. If I can see this, I'm like, what do I do?
She pulls away the spear and in common proclaims, "Adamantine Stan Smith, you are now a knight errant of the Vale, serving Bloomhaven." And she steps over to Struana, kneeling to Stan's side, points the spear at your heart, and again speaks in Sylvan, but the language is transferred instantly into your mind. And she says to you, similarly, like, what you fear is what could set you free. You are almost ready. Touches your heart with the spear. And again, the badge forms over your heart. You gain resistance to psychic damage. And over your eye appears, bound to you, an eye patch. And she says, "Look long and look true." And the patch solidifies and forms almost like a perfect replica of your normal eye. But you're instantly aware that it has some magical properties. Again, fluttering down, carrying some books and tomes, and there is one manual of utility and versatility. And you sense immediately that your master, your pact-bound muse, the dark feathery shape in the back of all your thoughts is pleased. And as the spear is withdrawing, you are clutched by a vision of leaping and bounding through grass, like tall grass above your head. You feel yourself leap up and flap with your ears and fly above the grass line, and fly through masses of people and centaurs and all sorts of weird fey creatures, and then immediately you running towards something. You clearly have a goal in mind. You've been sent on some purpose by a master that feels familiar to Struana. And then you kind of snap out of it as Beatrix has moved to ClickClack.
That was crazy. Let's put that aside and pay attention now.
You hear in your mind, ClickClack, you who seek, you actually hear your full Gnomish name. It is imparted to you all at once. I don't have time in the recording to spit it out. But in the amount of time that it takes for the spear to get to your breast and to your heart, you hear it imparted along with, "You seek only solitude and peace, and soon it shall be granted to you. Until then, a light along your way." And you again are granted resistance to psychic damage. More pixies flutter down with a stack of books. You see one is listed as the manual of cunning and wit, and the other is titled in Gnomish, "A detailed analysis of aggregate data concerning microexpressions, core emotional drives, and the inner mysteries of the humanoid heart," by Pennefeather Quartzbaum.
That's fantastic.
And Struana, you kind of missed it as you were in your vision. Everybody else heard her say this to Struana too, and she says, "Rise, ClickClack, Knight of the Vale, Knight Errant, serving Bloomhaven." And then she kind of like gets low down to the ground, isn't quite bowing, but is down to crabstock eye level, gets her spear underneath Lovelace, who sort of like leans up and opens up her chest plate, and you hear her say something in Sylvan, and something is clearly exchanged. Like you feel an emotional reaction in Lovelace, and her heart, or the spear taps her heart. And you can feel, like, immediately a jump from where you're seated. Her size, just like, she doesn't increase a size category, but she gets bulkier, fatter. Her claw gets larger and more pronounced. And from behind Beatrix Merriward, underneath, really, just a boil of crabs, tiny, small, from small to like cat size, rise up out of the ground and just flood up around her six legs. and sort of crawl up onto her. And some of them are like clinging to her belly, and others are like riding up along and like kind of like probing at you, and like making eye contact with Lovelace, and she is just like, you feel the emotional effect from her just from your companion sense. She is the happiest you've ever felt her. Like, she is surrounded by the love of family. Mechanically, by the way, she's going to get four hit dice and 4 attribute points to spread around as lovely as you see fit.
Okay.
Beatrix turns her staff, like her spear, to the crowd. Everyone cheers, and then she turns to Trella, who is a little behind you, and again says something in Sylvan, taps with her spear the badge that is already there. Like it had generally been hidden by her exceptionally good hair. She flicks it to the side, and it deepens, essentially. Like, you see the badge get larger and the pattern get more intricate. You see some clear marks of rank increase, and she said, "Rise, Trella Goodmain, Knight Bachelorette of Bloomhaven." And you see her just like she didn't expect that part, and as that happens again, like with every night knighting, the mists recede and are almost at nothing now, are just sort of clinging along the ground. The grass has changed its hue and type from reedy patches of marsh grass to it's filled out and spread into a softer, more marshy meadow type grasses. Still has some reed, but now we're into more long types of grasses. The land itself around you is starting to just brighten up a little. And as she raises her spear after announcing Trella Goodmain, the cheer comes up from the centaurs and the sprites and the remaining just folk below, and you see now clots of fey creatures streaming down as the mists clear all around, and the sunbeam that has at this point spotlighted Beatrix, Merward, and whomever she has been knighting sort of spreads as the mist parts between, in the direction of the sunbeam, and soaks the ground at the top of the crooked tower, where now there is also a 30 foot adamantine tower, and the crooked tower, which is partially broken and battered in the battle, now starts to lighten up, and the brickwork shifts into just alabaster marble, and the tower straightens up and curves and lilts into sort of almost a flower type pistil. And around it grow out sort of walls, a barrier, a functional barrier. You see with some coves and rooms and buildings built on the inside of it, and it also grows around to sort of envelop a little, like it grows around and shapes itself with Stan's tower. And when Trella notices that, she kind of blushes a little bit. And when Beatrix notices that, she's played this game before. and she grabs Stan's hand and grabs Trella's hands and puts them together and raises up her spear again. And there's a cheer from all around the whole area, and she announces something in Sylvan and your Knights of Bloomhaven. And then she leans into you and not subtly whispers, "If you were ever going to kiss her, it would be now."
I'm totally going to lean over and say, "I agree! Do it!"
You play something romantic on the pipes.
Yep. They can be a little more gentle. They totally can be. Just a little... In fact, it's just a little tune, a little romantic tune that, as it turns out, is also comprehend languages.
Quietly.
At the same time. Might as
Okay.
well.
Most romantic comprehend languages has ever sounded.
I don't know.
It's just more proclamations of victory and glory and such things.
And promise.
I've been looking for an opportunity too, so that works.
Right, Stan was muted for a second, I think. What did you say,
I
Allison?
said he would have gone for it.
Okay, well, like you look and give it the tug, and she doesn't fight. And when you do, the palace that had grown around the fortress just sort of like grows a little further in, and it's. I mean, to the onlookers, like as you're looking by, it looks. I mean, it's getting a little sensual. Like it's very phallic and floral, and I mean, it's a family show, but. And then she announces in Sylvan, but Struana, you understand it, that and now the heroes rest and we all feast.
Oh,
And,
good.
and the music immediately starts up. Like every soldier has pipes or a string that they can throw in. They're like it's really easy to start a party when you have a bunch of fairy creatures in the Feywild. It's really easy.
If there's the like hype version of jazz, I'm going to be doing essentially that.
All right,
Playing off of other folks, like
little improv
you know,
jam.
yeah. That's what I'm gonna start doing. I think it'll be great.
There are many skilled instrumentalists, it will not surprise you to know, between the sprites and the pixies and the centaurs on their pipes and lots of lyrists. But you guys will have a chance to get a full long rest. You will also be able to study your gifts a little more. The manuals will give you stat bonuses. Stan's, yours is to intelligence. Struana, yours is +1 each to any 2 stats. ClickClack, you got charisma.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Right.
good. You need it.
Now I
After your
have
long rest, you will sense, Struana, that your scry patch has the ability to cast to use charges to cast scry or true seeing.
How many charges? will
It
be?
maxes at 5. It has 5. It started out fully charged, and this item is attuned without counting as an attunement slot.
Nice.
This item is pulled directly from your heart's desire. It gets +1 d3 charges at sunrise, so a d6 divided by 2. Stan, you got your manual and your forge notes, which will grant you proficiency in religion and 1 artisan tool.
I'm proficient in religion now, guys.
It will take
I'm
a
gonna
week
read
of study, and each of these will take between the stat ones will take a month of study. The others will take a week of study.
Keep that up. You'll be a paladin.
So what you're saying is I got the spark notes for Moradin's religion.
As long as you have them on you and you've studied them. Like if you ever lose them, you'll lose the skills.
I totally am like, at some point, I don't know when it's going to happen, when it'll be appropriate, but at some point I'm going to be like, Stan, when you're done with that, I'd love to read it.
Well, it can only grant the bonus to one person at a time.
No.
Just so
But for Struana would be super interested in having
just to know what's in it.
Who has like religion and arcana and like these are actually ones I've taken. I'm like, I want to read that book.
Right? You could totally help Stan study it. You could teamwork his study. You've done a lot of research in your life. ClickClack, your detailed analysis gives you proficiency in insight and one other social skill of your choice, charisma linked skill of your choice.
How much was the charisma bonus?
2.
I figured, but making sure.
Yeah, same with you on your intelligence, Stan. 2.
Charisma bonus.
That's awesome.
And as you guys are kind of looking down to rest, Beatrix has a lot of administration to do right now. Trella is able to hang out with you. She's also, and she's kind of interested in sticking around with Stan at just this moment of time. She, it isn't in a hurry to bail on you. She's not like, okay, that was nice, bye.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also like fairly busy. Immediately people start coming to her with questions, and she gives light answers, but it's just administrative things. But she too is resting up. She's covered in giant blood. Hottest you've ever seen her, Stan. Just caked in the blood of her enemies.
Like in the carry.
Right? In the super goth. By the time the long rest is done, she has gone into her springtime phase. Her skin has a little green tinge, just like kind of leafy, just protrusions out of her hair and things. She's a lot more willowy, has different spell selected. And it's a party. It's a super party by the time you guys are I assume you're chilling out in the Adamantine Tower. You're welcome in Trella's place. She's actually kind of like interested to explore it. And may beg off about halfway through the long rest and be like, you have a new home to look at. If you guys would like to look with me, it'll still be restful. Don't worry, she says to the GM, we're not breaking our long rest.
If inviting us, and it's not just like she's inviting us politely, but is really only inviting Stan. If we are actually invited, I totally am gonna go explore myself straight to the upper level where Unseelie was, just to see if there's anything there.
Okay. Does anybody go straight there? Trella's kind of going like place to place. She's actually checking out like bathroom facilities, and she's very practical about it.
I'm just going to be like, oh, that's interesting, and like you just sort of segue. You find the moment, and then you segue, and then you go. I
wonder what's up the stairs. She's like, oh, I'll see you up there. ClickClack, do you follow the group? Do you go what do you check out, or do you just like back off?
Crab.
I'm inspecting the house like a home inspector.
Okay.
I'm making sure the foundation and everything makes mathematical sense. I'm like, you don't know where I got a clipboard, but I have a clipboard.
One of your armor plates doubles as a clipboard. You just like click. All right, so It's clearly got a magical element to it, especially that just like wide flanging petal-shaped wrapping barrier. I mean, not for nothing, I'm definitely evoking like the Ivory Tower from Neverending Story. I hope I wasn't too subtle about that, but that's kind of like the visual shape, that very like floral opening.
And not.
It's.
I said mathematical sense because that's what I go to every time for him. But basically, he's just making sure it's sound.
Yeah, it is. There's clearly a magical nature to it. Like the material, it's imaginary.
Right.
It's clearly a fabrication of the Feywild.
But as if someone had asked him to, he's inspecting the house.
So, Struana, you managed to catch a moment alone with the group, and as you get up to kind of where you sort of figure like the top room of the tower would be, getting to the door, like there's an outside credenza, veranda, that rises up into the chamber, that is open air, and you can see just a sweeping view down the place. And as your breath is being taken away just a little bit, you key in to like kind of a sniffling, weeping sound. Just someone fighting tears.
I'm gonna steel myself and move forward.
All right. You go into like a parlor, salon parlor, sitting room that is more or less like shaped and furnished in a much brighter, healthier, nicer way, but still the same basic setup as the room with which you got introduced to Unvala's plot. And in there is Beatrix. And she is standing in front of a tasteful little wall cubbyhole full of trinkets that over however long a Fae she has loved Unvala, she has been sending, just left there in a pile. And she's got some tears streaming down her face. She's fighting back sniffles. She's clearly a little bit heartbroken. Her wings are sagging behind her.
So the very human, I guess, response of oh, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? And I would love to roll a charisma for this.
Okay.
Why don't I just look at my guy in here? Okay. That's 14. That wasn't great, but it was something.
Okay. She's like turns to you, come in, and she like straightens up a little bit, but she doesn't like wipe her eyes. She doesn't seem ashamed. She just looks at you, and, like looks back and says, I should have known better. I mean, I really should have. Of course, this was all just part of some intrigue, and anything I thought he might have thought I meant to him, I should have known better than to fall in love with a Darkling. And we're going to clip there for the evening as the festivities get rolling, because Struana's phone, I think, has just died, and thus with it her camera. So we'll start off the festivities again next time here on GameBreakers. Thanks for watching this short intermediary episode. If you like what you see, hit like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe, and if you want it to get better, hit our Patreon links down below. My name is Thomas. I'm here with Allison, Diamond, and David. Sometimes Diamond. Have a good game.